Hey guys, Marstengen here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. And so the Janemba and PAIKUHAN dual Dokkan Fest is almost upon us. At the time that this video goes up, I think the banners come out in about 11 hours, 10 hours, something like that. And yeah, we did a video about this the other day on the channel of what Global could do to hype up this celebration, because I think this is probably the least hype dual Dokkan Fest that we've had for quite a long time, especially because, you know, a lot of global players, not everybody does, but a lot of global players do closely follow what happens on JP. And, you know, even if you don't watch Truth, who's very vocal about his opinions on both these units, the general consensus is that these units haven't aged all that well, so that kind of deflates the hype even more. So we're going to talk about the units today and the banners and whether I think you should summon. So we got the PAIKUHAN up here. So he brings a new category, Connected Hope, which is 3 key and 170 across the board. And then his sub-lead is Super Class 3 key and 130. So that is actually the best overall, like, just super class in general with no restriction leader skill. It can be very, very useful for a lot of things. Like, obviously, we all know that PAIKUHAN releasing is what enabled Truth to be able to do the Super AGL no items run on ESBR. Hopefully I will pull a copy of him, and then I'll probably be recording that tomorrow as well. So there is that one thing that he's good for, I guess, like if you're struggling with that mode. But overall, I think PAIKUHAN is generally better than Janemba. So he has a unit super attack that will be performed when there is a Goku Angel or Vegeta Angel attacking in the same turn. That does give you quite a wide scope of units that you can use, because it includes all of the units that are the two of them together as well. And when he does his unit super attack, he greatly raises attack for one turn, does immense damage, attacks effective against all types, and greatly lowers attack. So that is really good. I mean, he greatly lowers attack anyway, but getting the super effective against all types is really, really good. And then his passive is attack and defense 150, super class allies key +2, and an additional attack and defense 30% with 3 or more type key spheres obtained. So he's got to pick up 3 AGL orbs, and then he gives 2 key and 30% attack and defense. And then he gets key +4, high chance of evading enemies' attack, including supers, and seals the attacked enemy's super attack as long as you pick up 1 rainbow orb. So this is the problem with the design of both PAIKUHAN and Janemba, and Janemba's restriction is worse. But to get his full potential in that one turn, you have to pick up a rainbow orb and 3 AGL orbs at the same time. And then that will give you the extra key to yourself with the high chance to dodge and seal, and then provide 2 key and 30% to all allies, which obviously includes himself as well. So if you get both of them to proc, you're going to already be on 12 key, regardless of the fact that you've just picked up orbs. So he's not going to have much trouble super attacking, which kind of makes up for the fact that it being PAIKUHAN, he doesn't have the best links. Because if you want to have a Goku Angel or Vegeta Angel on the same turn, they're not going to have the best links with him. But overall, I do think he's pretty solid. If we look at the Connected Hope category that he brings to the game, there's a couple of strong LRs on here. Obviously, the LR Goku and Vegeta from the Gogeta movie are on here too. They, of course, fulfill the restriction for his unit super attack. But again, this is where the problem with like links come in. So you really want to be getting that key, the specific key orbs to get that support for PAIKUHAN, or at least, you know, the rainbow orbs so that he gives himself 4 key, just to make it a little bit easier to super. And then obviously you can see from the Super AGL roster here, units like the Mai is really good for Super Battle Road, Nail and Piccolo rotation is really good, especially when they're fully link leveled, so that obviously makes Super AGL a lot easier. But the fact that he has the Super Types 130 lead as well, you can bring other AGL units who aren't on his category, and they're still going to be getting a 130 buff, which is better than we have at the moment, where you have to use either Super Saiyan 4 Goku or the LR Super Saiyan Gohan, who, unless your units on that team are on Kamehameha or Goku family, they only give a 120 boost. So even if you use a team with almost no units from his category, all those other units are getting a much bigger boost from his leader skill. So I do think he is pretty good. I think he's better than Janemba. The Connected Hopes category is okay, I guess, but it's not too crazy. And then if we have a look at Janemba, we've been waiting for a fat Janemba that transforms into Super Janemba for a long time. So he brings the corroded body and mind. I think on JP it was originally translated as body and mind erosion. I think I like the global translation slightly better, but I still think it's a weird name overall. So he raises defense on super attack, does immense damage. He has 120 attack and defense. He guards. He gives extreme allies key 2 and 30% with 4 or more type spheres. So the same as PAIKUHAN, but you need 4 tech orbs instead of 1. And then reduces damage received by 30% with 2 or more rainbow key spheres instead of 1 for PAIKUHAN. So for some reason they gave them both very similar builds, which they usually do for dual Dokkan Fests, but they just made all of Janemba's restrictions, that 1 extra orb, worse for some reason. And obviously Janemba's always been a super defensive based unit, but if you can't pick up 2 rainbow orbs, then he doesn't get the damage reduction. So he does still guard, and he has a fairly reasonable amount of defense. Getting the 4 tech orbs is quite irritating, because, you know, we've all seen those bad rotations when the orb field is not quite the way that you want it. But, like, 4 orbs in general is one thing, but it's the fact they all have to be tech orbs. So bringing orb changes and stuff is obviously going to be useful, but is not necessarily the kind of units you want to be bringing on your team builds. And then, of course, he does have the active skill transformation. Actually, that is a good point. We missed out on PAIKUHAN's. I should mention that. His active skill is basically a Ghost Usher. So it delays a single targeted enemy's attack for 1 turn. Single targeted, though. So if you have multiple enemies, it actually doesn't remove all of them. But, oh, it can only be activated when there's 1 enemy, so that's fair. So when you're only against 1 enemy, it's basically a Ghost Usher. The enemy has to have 50% or more HP, and you have to be on the 4th turn. So for Super Battle Road, this is kind of like a finisher, I guess, when there's only 1 person left. But it's okay. And then Janemba's active skill is the transformation. So it can be activated after he receives attacks 5 or more times. So the thing about this is, even on Super Battle Road, like if you put him in slot 1, but there's like 4 attacks, then it means you're not going to be transforming him until turn 5, which is not great. And then this is the weirdest part about this Janemba to me. So you use his active skill, he transforms into Super Janemba, who is one of the best defensive extreme units in the game if we look at the int ones and the STR one after his EZA. And this guy raises attack and defense for 1 turn. Attack and defense 180, which is a nice high number. It's like Cooler and Bojack sort of thing. Rainbow randomly changes key spheres into either rainbow or tech types. And then he gets an additional 40% attack with 3 or more tech orbs. High chance of evading enemies' attack, including super attack with 1 rainbow orb. So the restriction is dropped once he transforms. But one thing that you'll clearly notice here is, despite the fact that he has a lot of defense, and then if you pick up the rainbow orb he has a chance to dodge, he no longer guards or has any damage reduction. So he's a lot harder hitting unit, but he's worse defensively after you transform him, which I think is really weird. So for something like Super Battle Road, that's not necessarily as bad, because you want him to be more defensive, especially because Extreme Tech is one of the hardest ones for a lot of people. But the fact that he's like worse defensively once you transform, when Super Janemba is normally a ridiculously defensive character, I think is very strange. So overall, I really don't like the design of Janemba. I don't mind these kind of passives if they're going to do these with the orbs, but I feel like these, for both of them, should be like 2 type orbs and 1 rainbow orb. Because with this Janemba, there's going to be a lot of times, I think, where you're just not going to be able to get 4 tech orbs. And even rainbow orbs, if you don't have an orb changer, like we all see rainbow orbs dropping down every now and then, but the way the game decides to bridge together the orbs that you pick, even if there's multiple rainbow orbs on the field, it might only be possible for you to pick up 1. So not a great start for a should you summon for these guys. The fact that I don't think either of these units are particularly crazy, and we've seen the data released on Global. They didn't do like a physical Goku Black and buff either of them, so they're not going to change at all. The only thing that could potentially bring it back is the banners, but this is the Corroded Body and Mind category. There's some good units on here. LR Baby, the Rosés are all on here. Is Base Goku Black? Yeah, Base Goku Blacks are on here as well. Because the wiki description is characters whose minds or bodies have been afflicted by conditions such as possession or switching. Which, I know the wiki isn't like an official explanation, but that kind of seems to follow. LR Metal Cooler Army, when they eventually get an EZA, they'll be pretty busted. All of the Timebreaker mask characters are on here, which is quite cool. Yeah, your Goku Blacks, your Majin Vegeta, Deborah, I guess, comes under the same sort of category as Majin Vegeta, Babies. Those seem to be like the main characters. But yeah, so his category, again, it's okay. But if we look at the extreme tech options, when it comes to doing Super Battle Road with this guy, if you still need to do extreme tech, I mean, Majin Vegeta is okay because he's an AoE and he can stun, but he's not very good defensively. And then Marseillan, even though his easy A made him a little bit more useful for ESBR, he's still not like an ideal unit for it. So, and then we have the banners. So we talked about this in the previous video, so I'm not going to go over it in huge detail here, but just to finish off, the banners really need to change if it's going to be worth summoning. Because we pretty much know, based on last year, we're going to get 3+1 multis, and we're going to get tickets from like the Pilaf Trove. I can't remember if this one comes with tickets for like every time you do multis you get tickets. I don't think it does. I think it's just the 3+1. Now, Global might discount the first rotation, which I think they really should do. I think for a lot of players, if they don't discount them, you would probably skip. If they do discount them, then maybe it's worth doing the first rotation because you're getting 4 multis for the price of 3, but then those 3 are also being discounted. So maybe then it would be worth it. But if we look at these banners, they are really not good. Like PAIKUHAN is obviously the main unit. The 5-year LR fusions do return, which I know some people will still need extra copies or potentially even your first copy. The 3-year LR has obviously been around a while now. Is the first return on Global, I believe, of Boo, and then Gotenks on the other banner, which would be useful for some people. Although Gotenks is definitely way better than Exchange Boo, who just kind of sucks. And then the rest of the banner is just not really hype at all for either of the banners. So overall, the banners are not great. I really think they need to like beef up the banners with something to tempt people into them, because I think for a lot of people this banner is a skip, or these banners are a skip, unless they discount the first rotation of multis and they make the banners a lot better. If the banners drop exactly as they are, even with a discounted first rotation, I think a lot of people are going to skip. And bear in mind, we are what, 2 months away from the 6-year anniversary, which we know brings like well, if you include the summonable LRs in the legendary banner for part 2, it brings 4 new units that are all like top tier like LRs in the game, as well as a bunch of free to play stuff, loads of stuff to do. Everyone's hyped for that. And this banner coming out at this time, they really need to do something significant to make it worth you summoning on. So I do think for most players this is probably a skip. Obviously, if you're a big fan of PAIKUHAN or Janemba, it might be worth going in for the first rotation, especially if it is discounted, because you are getting the 3+1. And then of course there will be Pilaf Trove tickets. So if you're somebody who does spend on the game, you might want to pick up the sales but save the stones for a later banner. But you could pick up the tickets from the Pilaf Trove just to use on these banners, just to give it a shot to see if you get PAIKUHAN or Janemba, because I definitely will be using the tickets. We'll use them first, and then honestly, if I get lucky enough to pull a copy of both of them off of just the Pilaf Trove tickets, I might not actually summon anymore on the banner. But we'll have to wait to see if they change them. If they do something crazy like bring back like Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta or somebody else of that kind of level, maybe my thoughts would change. But I think for most people, this is a skip. So let me know what you guys are planning to do down below in the comments section. And if you are going to summon, good luck. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store. And I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.